This is worse, and it's one of the most racist things that I've seen in my life. Do you remember the blocks, the square, the black square for Black Lives? They said, stop Asian hate, and they made a yellow square. Amen. Hey ladies and gentlemen, it's me again, Meat Puppet. Got this video from Vice. I'm going to react to it. To give you an idea what they're going to talk about is this. Are you an Asian American, or are you an American with an Asian heritage?
Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it a burden? Is it an opportunity?
Assimilation, I think I would define that as, in part, I think necessary to an extent because we are forced to in order to navigate this country. So I would say learning the language, learning how to properly behave, for example. That's in part.
That was a very creepy smell. I don't know what the heck that guy was doing. Whatever he did, that was freaking creepy.
Kind of assimilation, making sure that you are
in line,
kosher in this society. And I think in part that means survival.
I think assimilation is not just a great thing, it's a necessary thing.
Huh.
No society can hold together where people have nothing in common.
Ooh, purple hair was hurt. I mean, what is wrong with assimilation? I went to Holland. I thought they have a unique country, way better than my own. Mine is third world country, so I better follow their own rules, and maybe whatever I learned, I can bring it back. I had to assimilate. And for some odd reason now, assimilating is wrong. You're not forgetting yourself, you're just learning two identities. That's it.
They don't speak the same language, they don't practice the same things. And you may look at something like just food habits or what you eat and think that's fairly frivolous. But the truth of the matter is that on a broader level, when we're talking about more big picture things, differences in race, culture, religion, all these things, people have fought wars, violent wars, killed each other over these things for thousands of years. If America is to hold together, assimilation, not just good or bad, necessary. I don't think it's going to be possible for America to survive as a stable functioning society if people don't, to some degree, say, well, here's what we're going to commonly agree upon.
But who gets to choose it?
The majority culture, I suppose.
And what's
The people-
majority culture?
The people with power.
And who's people with power?
There's people with power.
White people.
Well, I don't know if that's...
I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
White people.
Look, everybody's like, oh, we caught you. Oh, yeah. You know what's kind of funny? When I meet somebody from Curacao, but she looks Asian, and I ask them, hey, are you Chinese? You know what she would tell me? No, I'm Caribbean. And when she said that one time, I remember in Holland, because we all go to study and we meet each other. We don't care how we look. We care how we feel inside. That is what is important. That's the Caribbean life. It's un antiano. It's a lifestyle. It's like people don't understand assimilation as a good thing, but at the same time, it's such a good thing on Curacao that we get along way better than other people. Way better. Compared to USA. And USA says, I'm African American. What is that? I'm an Asian American. What is that? And it goes even further. Asian, South Asian. I'm like, yo, all these categories is you're separating yourself with identity. And when you have to fight for the same purpose, like USA, you're like, no, I don't want to fight. I'm different. Okay. I just don't understand. If you live in a country that seems to be better than your previous one, I think it should be very important that you assimilate in the country that gave you that opportunity.
I don't know if that's necessarily so true. I mean,
Wait, can you
look
unpack?
at,
Yeah.
I don't
elaborate.
I don't think
Let's attack the right winger.
particularly white quote-unquote interest controls things like
In America.
pop culture.
Do you believe
Well, I
white
think-
supremacy exists?
I think there are people who believe in it. I think there's people who all believe that their race is superior.
So you don't believe in white supremacy?
Do you believe America is a white
believe in
supremacist state?
No.
Ooh. Okay. This is weird because I feel like everybody is loading their gun, and when one is done shooting, the other one is already loading his bazooka, shotgun, bada beam, bada boom. They're gonna go after this American.
Not at all.
And not found
No
by-
white supremacist state would even allow us to be doing this. I don't understand. So white supremacists, there's just KKK people walking. Actually, I go around New York City. I notice that, I guess Brooklyn a little bit different. Most of the people here are not white, and they're doing their thing. So I don't understand.
What does doing their thing mean to you?
Going to work.
Are they making the same amount of money? Are they getting the same access to opportunities?
I think they're getting great access to opportunity.
Please unpack it.
Well-
Are they equivalent?
It's like, tell me what you mean. Unpack it. Add something. What do you mean? Unpack it. Unpack it. It's like, dude, how long are you gonna go in one direction? This guy is the soldier, the sergeant that tells you clean that room, and he comes with a white glove, and it's like, this isn't clean. He can always find it. He just wants to win. I don't know. His creepy smile just ruined my day. Kissed my ass. If I was sleeping and somebody smiled at me like that in the morning, I would punch him 100%.
Are communities and communities that are leading culture, to your point, because you pointed to popular culture as something where, in your view, white people don't have the power, when the reality is it is the white executives who are profiting off of and exploiting predominantly black and brown bodies for their financial gain to then parade to us and tell us that we're thriving, when the reality is it is women of color, and it is black folks, and it is Asian American folks, and it is Hispanic folks, and it is people from marginalized communities who are disproportionately being impacted by every adverse thing that society is facing, while the few at the top who don't represent our communities, right, are profiting. There are massive disparities based on race, based on class, based on gender, based on all of these things that shouldn't exist.
Well, nobody denies that there's disparities or that.
Well,
Okay.
let's have Vince respond.
Or that, I think the question is, do they exist because of supposed white supremacy? And when I look at the fact that, virtually every corporation and institution bends the knee to diversity, celebrates every single Heritage Month, has all these programs, every single one toe the line for Black Lives Matter. I don't look at that.
What is toe the line?
I don't look at.
Let's unpack this again. It's like, dude, you are complaining about the company that you're calling it white supremacist when they are giving you everything you want and the middle class is the one actually disappearing. I mean, think about it. It's like if it was white supremacy, they have no gains other than pandering to you to make it work. They are pandering to the idea that you're acting like this makes them earn more money. They don't care where they get the money. If you're just stupid enough that you don't have your own ID and the Instagram post can control you, and you have this whole idea that Instagram is good, this is good, bada bing bam boom, you make it normal. That's why specific people that are disconnected with family, that's why they live way better, because they don't earn money from us. We don't get value from the company that is promoting something for us. Dude, or Mrs. Who knows?
At that and say conservative white people are in power in this country. As a matter of fact,
officially it's liberal. The one that your team. It's like consistent victim. It will never stop.
I'd argue to a large extent, you can talk about, what race or whatever people are, but is like a supposedly conservative white interest in power in America. I would honestly say I think it's the opposite of that.
I want to clarify one thing. You can be liberal and still a white supremacist, right?
Yes.
Like, I would be very clear,
Absolutely.
right? That it doesn't necessarily mean conservative white power is the predominant folks in
So, okay, yeah, you can be LGBTQ and also a white supremacist. Cool.
power. I think it could span a lot of political
Yes.
ideologies and still have these things embedded in how you govern and how you lead and how you make decisions. However, when you talk about bending the knee, that is a wild way.
Because if we don't follow your freaking ideology, we can actually lose our job. You can actually be morally jumped by a bunch of people telling you you're an idiot, you're a bastard, or whatever, bada boom, and it will actually affect you at your school. They can kick you out. I mean, it can actually affect you at certain banks, certain jobs, certain places. Dude, look at the guy that was skating. He said, I don't want to wear that. It's against my religion. It's all this weird LGBTQ stuff, but I respect you, but don't force it on me. And guess what happened? They went after him. And because they went after him, but he had balls to be like, hey, I don't want to wear something that is against my religion. Respect that. And his own clothes was selling way better now. Because at least they were like, hey, that's an ice hockey player with a bunch of balls going against the white supremacists that you're calling out, but they support your own ideology too. It's kind of weird. It's like,
Look at society finally trying in some ways to right the wrongs of its
it's not so
ills.
wild. I mean, even like your supposedly white politicians, you look at what they did in 2020, they quite literally bent the knee. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the entire Democrat basically caucus in Congress literally bent the knee to George Floyd and to Black Lives Matter. Like, they quite literally did that.
And that was a bad thing?
yeah.
I think it was a stupid thing.
Why?
I think it was just ridiculous pandering
So
to
Black
a
lives do
terrorist
not matter?
movement ran by.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Black lives do not matter?
I do think that Black Lives Matter. I
Wait,
don't support the movement.
you-
No.
See, I told you, they're all reloading. You cannot even finish a point. And as a person in that position, it kind of burns you out. If you did that to any person like this guy, this purple lady, or this black lady with a beautiful afro, they would say, I feel attacked. And now, if I would say that for this Asian man, it's like, wait, we're not attacking him. We're just asking question.
You ever say all lives matter?
Of course. As a Christian, I
There it
absolutely
is.
believe
All lives matter.
Absolutely.
As a Christian, hey, amen, hallelujah, kiss our asses. Because guess what? This is what we do 24/7. Being called out as an idiot, push in one direction, all lives matter, every life has a value, but we're not even allowed to say it. But we are actually, in majority, the people that usually donate more, provide more non-profit situations to other people, and we don't get the point because we believe in a person that doesn't believe a man is supposed to be with a woman, but we respect it. Just because of that, we are the enemy.
Absolutely.
Well, let me put this back into some more concrete terms. So I guess to try to understand the conflict here that you guys are having, what role do you think Asian Americans have as far as the larger injustices and racism that this country has exhibited and has pushed it forward in the 200 years prior to even our arrival? But I guess the easiest way to make it something to talk about is the concept of the model minority myth. When you hear that word, what does it mean to you?
So the model minority myth, after World War II, they used us to separate other people of color. They used our race to say that we were the best race, that we were the model minority because we were the smartest, we got the best jobs, we did these things, and we were able to assimilate to what their idea of what they wanted. They wanted an example to use of people of color that they could then use against all the other people of color. And what they also did is they caused infighting between our communities so that we wouldn't look at the actual problem, which was white supremacy. When I think of the model minority myth, I grew up wanting to be white. I fucking hate that about myself. Like, it is so embarrassing.
Okay, so statistically,
So, well, let me give my opinion before it goes up, but I hope my view is the same as the Asian, at least. You know which one. I wanted to be white. And it's not because I wanted to be white because of the hair color. I wanted to be white because I saw most of them had an intact family. At least in my experience when I was on Curacao. Most of the Dutch people had money. Most of them had beautiful cars, intact family, nice people, active mom that were always there. And most of my friends didn't even have that, you know? They had a family, they were always very controlled and they're emotional, they approach specific things. And as a kid, not having a mom, because my mom passed away, I really wanted a stability. And I respected anybody that brought stability. That's it. You can't just come in and throw a monkey wrench in my engine and say, you know what, this is normal in my culture. If it was normal in your culture, you would not be assimilated to a new culture. That's what I think.
it is true that Asians, right, on average, make more money, in terms of medium, make more money, better test scores, get into better colleges, all that stuff. I think the question is, why is that? And I don't
Family?
know, model minority, whatever that label wants
That's
to mean.
actually a myth because we cannot be...
Well, no, listen. Well, let me finish my point.
Yeah, let him finish his point.
We need to observe what makes people successful and unsuccessful. And I think when you look at trends that are generally true in the Asian community, not of everyone, but are generally true, usually you have families that are sticking together. You have, people...
Stop. What is... why? Why is that the shock? It happens also to Africans. It happens also to Indians. They stick together. They have one of the best grades because the parents pushes them in a direction, provide consistency. When the father is tired, mom will help. When mom is tired, papa will help. Yeah, Dad, let's go, wrestling. But these people, and I'm sorry that I have to say it, they just depend on the government. They are not used to have a family, and they're not used to sacrifice to maintain a family because they want to be individual. It's my human right. I'm like, okay, human right your ass away then.
To work hard in school, not get into trouble. I think that translates to why Asians en masse are successful. And I don't think you have to be Asian or white for that matter to not have kids out of wedlock, not, commit crime, not cause trouble, whatever it is.
Yes. My father always told me, if you have a kid, I will kick you out of the house, or you will find a job and you have to pay for all the bills and you're not allowed to go to school because you decide to make a baby. If you say that right now, everybody's like, I have a human right. Well, you human right that created a baby. Take care of your freaking baby. No, you don't want to do that. It's your human right. You know how family did it back in the day? When a kid was supposed to study in Holland and they left, the baby stayed with grandma. The daughter just left the baby on the island, went to study, was supposed to finish her study in 4 years, because usually in 4 years you can finish your study, and then you go back and finish taking care of your baby. So if she comes back, the baby is 4, maybe vacation back and forth to visit the baby, have some connection, and that's it. That is what family do. But if you're a single gangster person, depending on the government, you can't do that. Oh my, I don't like the idea that a person without a baby, or depending on the government to have a baby, is telling other people by which law they should be able to have a baby because it's their human right.
Matter of like, well, common sense, that's what makes people successful. And if that's so-called assimilation, having a nuclear family, buying a house, going to school, whatever it is, then yeah, okay, call me a pro-assimilation then.
I think there's a difference between assimilation and erasure.
Yes.
The way that you're kind of going about it seems like, okay, like, you know, of course, like, we want to be in community with people. And I don't think there's a problem with being in community with people from different backgrounds. That's not the issue. It's also embracing the diversity that we inherently have and accepting that and being okay with that and celebrating that.
That's very idealistic, I think, but I think we should acknowledge the fact that diversity, quote unquote, is not a factor that is our strength. It's not a factor that historically or even in the current strengthens societies. People don't come together, form societies, form families, form communities because they have nothing in common. They come together and do those things because they have something in common, right?
You talk about race in such black and white terms. The way you talk about it is it's either with America, whatever your definition of America, or not.
No, nobody is saying that. The idea is there should be a specific standard that everybody should follow. What you do at your home, what you do with your friends and all those stuff, that is a different thing. For example, the only place where you can see everybody get along because it's a situation of life of that is in the army. You will find the whitest man, the blackest man, the brownest man, the yellowest man. If you bring the effort, not with your mouth, with your action, they would love you as a friend and they would take a bullet for you. I would never take a bullet for a purple ninja. Kiss my ass. Because when you take the bullet, Purple Lives Matter. Oh, Purple Lives Matter. Make a statue of me.
Joyce, tell me about your feelings about the model minority myth. What does it make you think about?
For me, like, I don't think race should be an issue in anything. Like, when we want to make a decision, we should not put race as a factor. Living in New York City, we're the melting pot of the world, so I haven't actually experienced any of these biases. And if we keep continuing to live on, remembering how history was, we're never going to move further. So I identify myself as American, and in this country, it's the only country where a homeless person can be a millionaire the next day. So based on capitalism, we all have an opportunity, and we should not use race as a factor in either getting ahead or depriving ourselves of opportunities.
I have a question directly related to the fact that you live in New York, right?
Well, I will tell you right now, I would prefer to be married to her, not to this purple ninja.
Yeah, and you're Asian women. There have been significant high crimes towards Asian women that were all over the news. Did that affect you? And what were your thoughts on that?
The government is telling us that it's Asian hate, but that's not the real issue. The real issue is actually that these people were mentally ill and they were let out.
Or both can be the issue, right?
Yeah,
it can simultaneously exist as issues.
You can't say that it's Asian hate and use that as propaganda.
Propaganda?
I feel like also to just say that these people are mentally ill is
Are you surprised? They never do propaganda like that to make people fight between each other. If you're a person that seems to be talking about we're fighting in between, but then you are here fighting in between, I'm like, yo!
kind of an ableist argument too, because there's plenty of people who are mentally ill who are not going out and killing like Asian people on the street.
All these attacks that
Yeah, but you know what's even more funny? When they talk about the Asian hate, with all due respect, the only Asian hate that I keep seeing is actually black people. And this was happening during BLM. So nobody was calling it out because they were black. And you know what's even worse? This is worse. And it's one of the most racist things that I've seen in my life. Do you remember the blocks, the square, the black square for Black Lives? They said, stop Asian hate, and they made a yellow square. Amen. I started laughing so much because it was the most stupid thing that I saw in my life. Why would you do that? I mean, some people are so racist that I'm like, damn, where did that come from?
In San Francisco, New York City, newsflash, they're not being prosecuted as hate crimes. So the more correct way to look at it is what is the primary perpetrator of violence against Asians overall, right? Because if we talk about these videos, we have to count them in the statistics, and we're not doing that. And when we do that, we find, well, I'll tell you this, the plurality top perpetrator of violence against Asians, number one, is not happening in rural America, and number two, is not being done by white people.
So is it black people that are doing it? Like, is it the black and brown people that are doing it?
No, that's exactly
just inherently violent. Like,
I didn't say that. All I said
beat
was,
around it. Just
Well, I will say, yes, it was black people. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to make it too long. I just say it like this. I prefer that if you're in a country, you celebrate more what's in that country because that is the reason the country still exists. If I invite you to my house and we're going to have a dinner party and everybody's going to make a pasta their style, then you can be, hey, this is the Indian version, this is the Asian version, this is the black version, that's it. And I just wanted to focus on this. It was an interesting video though, and I do like this chill, relaxed Asian Christian man because, hey, I kind of feel identified with him. And I'm sure that if we were hanging out, we might not look like each other, but we would have way more in common because we have a specific moral ground that we just respect way more than all these little people there. So in other words, if I went with him to war and we had to fight, the way we think might be better for the country that we're fighting for. And I think that is what you need in general. But hey, if you don't believe in a God, we might still be friends. We can go to the army together. That will force us to be friends. That's a good way sometimes.